This is a presentation for you to help you with Chapter 20. This is the work that you've got to do. I hope you checked the blog site and seen the work. I posted the work up there yesterday just to make sure that you knew what you had to do. And remember, you've got an assessment on this when you come back. Now, this next topic is presenting and analysing data. Remember, we have two types of data. We have qualitative data, we have quantitative data. Qualitative data, descriptive, so it has names, whereas quantitative data, as it sounds, is made of quantities. Now, we need to remember that quantities have two things. We have discrete data and we have continuous data. Hopefully you remember what those all are. Let's put these datas into correct, discrete and continuous. Time is a measurement. Anything that has time, has a measurement in rather, will be continuous. So if we look through these, we should be able to see that weight, well, that's a measurement, length is a measurement, and height is a measurement. So those should automatically go into continuous. We look at things like shoe size. Well, we can't get 3.1 shoe size. Gender, which is in effect a qualitative piece of data. People, well, we don't get 3.15 people. It doesn't exist. And now money is a strange one, because in general circulation, money is actually discrete because we don't get 0.5 piastres. Therefore, not every value is used, so it's not continuous. Age is a measurement and should really be continuous or considered to be continuous. So let's have a check. Yeah, and we've all got this correct. Okay, so we'll continue on. One of the major topics in this is class boundaries. When we have our data, whether it's discrete or continuous, we have to consider what class boundaries would be. In particular with this set of work, we're actually looking at what the upper class boundary would be. So if we have a look at our first table, this is the gold score table. You can see our classes are here, 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14. Now, we look at this data and say, okay, well this is discrete data because we can't get 5.2 goals. It's either goal or it isn't. Here's our frequency. Now, what we need to consider now is what our upper class boundary would be. Now, as it is discrete types of data, the upper class boundary should be quite simple. We can see that the upper class boundary here is 4, here is 9, and the last one, which you should be able to get yourselves, yep, that's right, it's 14. Now, if we consider something else like weight, weight is a continuous piece of data. Now, it's important when we look at this continuous data how it's actually set up. Now, if we look at the first class, it's 0, the weight is greater than or equal to 0, up to 5 kilograms, but it doesn't actually include 5 kilograms. So if you think of realistically what the upper class boundary should be, it should be like this. Because we can't actually get up to 5, our upper boundary should be 4.99999 and so on. But in fact, what we do is we say, okay, we realise that it should be up to 4.999999, but in fact, 4.9 recurring is the same as 5. So in fact, that will come to be 5 instead. So on our next class boundary, we would consider that to be 10, and rather than 14.99, we can consider 15. Now, if you want a proof of why we would consider 0.9 recurring as 1, all you have to do is think of 1/9, fraction 1/9 being 0.111, 2/9, 0.2 recurring, 3/9, 0.3 recurring, sorry, If you go up, you get to 8/9. If you work this out, is 0.8 recurring. And so 9/9, considering the series, would be 0.9 recurring. Well, we also know 9/9 is 1. Now, another type of table we might get, in this case a timetable, 0 to 4 minutes, 5 to 9 minutes, 10 to 14 minutes. What we view in this is that everything has been rounded. So if a time of 4.4 minutes comes in, then that will obviously go into this first class. But if it's 4.6 minutes, it would go into this class as it be rounded up. Now there may be a statement given saying we round down or we round up to be more consistent, which would change it, but unless specified, it's generally perceived that we will be rounding down from 4.5 and rounded up from 4.5 or above 4.5 as we would consider normally. So we look at the upper boundaries. The upper boundaries is going to be halfway between the classes, so 4.5, 9.5 and 14.5. This is a very important part, and we need to understand this before moving on. So once you've watched this, you're quite happy with everything that has been talked about in here, move on to the first exercise, which is dealing with upper boundaries. Okay, now that exercise shouldn't take too long. I hope you are doing well and have completed that before moving on to the next recording.